Hey, so keeping along the same vein of a little bit of the lighter side of INTJs, which is kind of nice every once in a while. This will be the topic about INTJs that are comedians. So I want to open up this conversation specifically about INTJs and the topic of comedy in a nutshell. Speaking from my own side of things, I find that I love humor. I love intelligent humor. I love the nuanced humor, not overt humor. And I like dark, sarcastic, ironic, that type of thing, especially ones that make you fill in certain pieces. It's almost like it's a mental exercise that takes you away from the stuff that you're already mulling around in your brain every single minute of every day. So that being said, looking into some of what I could find regarding INTJs as professional comedians, I found it was quite limited. We had a lot of very amazing philosophers and, presidents, life changers, that type of thing. But I think the seriousness potentially in our personality overrides whether or not we would get in front of an audience and do the whole gamut that goes along with becoming a comedian. But as I mentioned in the other video regarding celebrity crushes, there were a few that actually were comedians or do comedic roles at times. So the INTJs that I found were few and far between. The three that came up were my celebrity crush, Jason Bateman, then Chevy Chase, and Dan Aykroyd. So what I also like is that Dan Aykroyd's Canadian. I'm Canadian. It's great. However, one thing after that, I decided, okay, well, I want to look into the extroverted side of the NTJ and see if there might be some more representation there. So what I came across, it actually was really interesting. And in my list, I am not talking about straight up comedians. I'm talking about those that can either deliver a comedic role or act with dry wit that can be perceived as comedic. Now, some of them are a bit of a stretch, and I'd love to hear your comments on these, but the ones that came to mind, the first one was David Letterman, and I think that pretty much sums up what I would expect as an ENTJ, although I would almost argue that he's closer to the I spectrum, but that's just my 2 cents. George Clooney, which is another one. Harrison Ford, the delivery of some of his lines and some of his movies is hilarious in the way that he's so dry, it's not even funny. Jim Carrey, that one I was quite surprised about because he's so over the top. So I'm wondering if there's an ADHD element in that kind of ties into his complexity with him being over the top, but yet wanting to be serious in certain roles. Robert Downey Jr., oh my goodness, he's fantastic. His quick wit and the way he can master 4 decades or whatever it is of acting and do it in such a unique and interesting way each time. Jay Leno, the old school that took over for Johnny Carson for late night TV. Steve Martin, I think that actually is interesting because he does play the fool in certain roles, but you can tell that there's this intelligence underneath everything. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I was super surprised about because I would not expect him to be potentially a thinker type. I thought he would be more of a feeler type, but when you look at the way he's masterminded his career and the way he's crafted where he wanted to go, that might speak to the NTJ side. Steve Buscemi, I totally see that. I mean, his work is hilarious, like The Usual Suspects and Reservoir Dogs. I think he was in Usual Suspects. If I'm wrong, tell me. And Fargo, another great one. William H. Macy, another Fargo alumni, and just his latest work, he's just getting more and more into the dark side of comedy, and the delivery is hilarious, mixed in with what his physical features are and the way he brings us forward. I don't know if you guys have watched Shameless, but he's pretty spot on that. And Candice Bergen. I think Candice Bergen is a great example of a potential ENTJ female, where she is no nonsense, but yet can deliver some really funny content. Just to wrap this video up, one thing that I find interesting about all of these is that you would rarely doubt that any of them have some deeper inner workings on why they're delivering something the way they are. There is some method to the madness and the way they want to project themselves in order to move forward with what they want to do in their career. And they're using a gift to bring it forward and actually be really successful at it. I was kind of disappointed that there weren't more INTJs, but I absolutely do understand the lack of interest of being in front of a camera. So I can totally appreciate that. So anyways, want to hear your comments. Also, if there is other INTJ comedians that you notice that I cannot find, please put them in the comment section. And as always, if you have a video request, put them in the comment section and put video request at the beginning, just so that I can make sure that I can capture it. Thanks so much.